it's super smooth, because that's where most of our viewers came from last week. So, hi everybody, I'm Eric Taylor. Welcome to Do Respite Media's presentation of A Stars That Bind, a Savage Worlds space opera. I am your host and storyteller, and we are going to go around the circle counterclockwise, introduce ourselves. Players are going to tell you their character name and what they do on the ship. Jeff, you've done this before, but you get to do it again.
I am Jeff. I will be playing Ren. He is the chief security, or so he thinks himself as chief security officer. It may be just in his head.
Okay, Sarah, tell us about Ghost.
I'm Ghost, and Ghost is our communications officer, and she deals with port authorities whenever we dock and smooths things over, and she is a good smooth talker.
Awesome. Matthew Utah.
Hi, I'm Matt. I am playing Hawk, ship pilot and acting captain on occasion because we were without a captain on a recent adventure. So.
Okay, and Escamat, tell us about you.
I'm Matt, and my character is Bowden McCain. I am the ship doctor.
Okay. And last but not least, Micah.
So I'm Micah, and I'm playing as Sprocket. She's the ship's engineer, and she is also a minor, as she's very young. She's only 14 years old, and she is an alien species called the Calxori.
Alrighty. Cool. And again, I'm Eric Taylor. I'm your storyteller. And we're going to get started with our adventure. So, for the audience, we ran a one-shot very recently that actually turned into a two-shot that actually turned into we really love this game and we want to play it all the time. And that was... excuse me. That was a lot of fun. And in that one-shot, which we called The Jeweler Who Deals in Stardust, this group of adventurers, minus Bowden at the bottom, went out beyond the Chess Nebula, out to a secret research base, and they found a weapons depot that is using stardust to be able to essentially catalyze planets and turn them into stars and kill a bunch of people. Interestingly enough, our players didn't seem to have any problem with that. And when confronted with the option of we can probably die here, or we can join up with this mega corporation, which I believe we decided was called a TheraCorp, you guys chose to sign up with a TheraCorp and sell your souls to a megacorp and join up. So, you have all been given a ship, actually. And
A nice one, and thanks for that.
a nicer one. It's definitely nicer than the Axion was, but it's still not the greatest of ships. But I mean, it is still a corp ship. However, it has had some pretty substantial modifications made to it so that you are able to go about kind of undetected. You aren't wearing uniform. You're not in, you're not carrying official stuff. You're essentially privateers under the employ of a TheraCorp, headed to do probably some nasty stuff as a thing. But you find that you are aboard a ship that, as excuse me, you're escorted down to it. If somebody can remind me the name of the NPC that you are friends with, Ghost.
Keld,
Keld. Yeah,
the guy that's in charge.
Yep. So, Keld escorts you down to your ship. It's been about 2 weeks since the events of our 1/2 shot. And so you are escorted to your vessel. And when you arrive, you can see that it's in the process of being painted. It's in the process of being essentially like scarred up and modified. So the guts are corp, the shell, the trappings, if you were to use a Savage Worlds term, are not. And so you are brought down, and you can see that they are painting the name of your ship on the side. And the name of your ship is my notes aren't loading, and I apologize for that. The name of your ship is the Ambrose. And so Keld looks at you, Ghost. The rest of you are there. Yes, Ghost, as it appears. This is your vessel. And I do not use the term your lightly. Congratulations, Captain Ghost.
Why, thank you.
Certainly.
I'm sure you have outfitted it appropriately.
It is outfitted as a newbie would need. Let's put it that way. Your missions will be small time to start with. I'm sure you understand, darling. However, allow me to introduce the last few members of your crew, as this ship cannot be manned by 4 of you. Allow me, please, if you may, to introduce Mr. Bowden. Mr. Bowden will serve as surgeon and doctor aboard your ship. And he indicates Bowden, and go ahead and hit us with that description there, Eskemat.
Bowden is probably in his late 40s, early 50s. You could tell that he's battle worn. He's got a big scar on the left side of his face with an eye patch covering his eye. Some past war wound. Kind of a Western themed kind of thing. He's got like a long leather trench coat on and a little pistol at his side, but he doesn't seem like he's going to talk much. He's more just head nods, and he's got like a I could care less look on his face. Just another job. Here I am. How do you do?
Awesome. Excuse me. So, and for those who are not aware, Eskemat is in Alaska, which means his internet sucks. So if his camera blips in and out, that's why. We know. It happens on our end too. But the other people that he introduces is he turns, and a small droid robot comes walking up. It's about 3.5 feet tall. It has a head that looks kind of like a cone that extends. It's got the piston about in the middle, and so it rotates around. And it's the dimensions are just wrong, and he just looks pretty silly. And he also happens to have 6 arms, each of which has a different tool on it. And he walks right past Keld and walks up to Sprocket. Hello, pleased to meet you. I'm your assistant. My name is Cyclic. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. Did you know you're a kid?
Yes, I'm aware.
Wonderful. You know what? In bot years, I'm also a kid. I have been online for 6 months. We're going to get along wonderfully. Yes. I'm going to go check out the ship then. And he, he doesn't really walk on legs. He has little like tractors. And he just rolls his way up the gangplank.
I'm going to go with him.
Okay. Keld turns and looks at Ghost. Unfortunately, despite Ms. Sprocket's clear aptitude, the corporation was not particularly savvy on simply having a 14-year-old run the ship that's worth so many credits. However, he is just an assistant.
So they gave us a 6-month-old robot to be our assistant.
I mean, the thing about robots, darling, is that they're programmed to do what they need to do. They don't really have a learning curve. Besides,
Still,
I don't doubt Miss Sprocket. However, the systems aboard the Ambrose are substantially more advanced than what were aboard the Axiom.
I have no doubt she'll be fine. One question, though. Will there be a problem if she makes some tweaks to our little friend?
And he, kind of fishes around in his suit. And as he was last time, and for the audience, he is dressed immaculately. He's in this kind of, metallic-looking, rainbow-hued tuxedo that, as he kind of moves around in the light, shifts between the color spectrum. He has these diamond buttons all down the front, and then he's wearing this very elaborate neck scarf that seems to be made out of some kind of very fibrous spider weave, but as you look closer is very clearly metallic. And he reaches into that tuxedo and digs around for a second, and he pulls out two chips that are about the size of this deck of cards, and he hands each of them to Ghost, and he says, the first one is the necessary paperwork for the Ambrose, showing you as captain and you as 39% owner of the vessel. And the other one he hands to you, and he says, this shows you as 99% owner of Mr. Cyclic. The other 1% assigned to Miss Sprocket. You will also notice that when she comes of age, your ownership is terminated and transfers to her. So,
Very good.
any modifications that she feels necessary to make, she may. However, do keep in mind that his function is paramount. He has a greater understanding of the ship's systems. He was programmed specifically to work on this type of vessel. There's one other person that I would like you to meet, Ghost. And he kind of indicates, and out of the corner of your eye, you see this very tall figure, probably a good 7.5 feet tall, ultra wiry and skinny. And at first, you legitimately thought that it was like a fixture of machinery in the base, but it starts to shuffle toward you, and it reaches up these ultra wiry fingers and pushes back this hood, and it looks like a walking stick. Like, if you've seen A Bug's Life, it looks like the walking stick in that movie. And he has these large eyes, and he looks at you. This is Miss Flora. Miss Flora will be your science specialist, as I don't seem to think you have one. You've surrounded yourself with ruffians, darling.
Never needed a science specialist before.
You'll be sent on slightly less rough and tumble missions on occasion. However, for the most part, Miss Flora will remain out of the way. And Flora nods to you. Flora also doesn't speak. Her species does not speak in general. So everything you will receive will be through data transmission. Now, and Flora shuffles off the gangplank, and it involves a lot of ducking, and you watch Flora is able to essentially fold into all kinds of ridiculous shapes, and so goes from being this 7-foot tall stick to being this 4-foot tall stump, and just makes their way into the ship. Now, as you recall, you had an encounter with a specific jeweler, yes? A Mr.
Lemon.
Mr. Lemon, yes. That's right, the jeweler who dealt in stardust. Your first assignment, darling, is to eliminate him. He knows of this base's existence. He knows of our work with stardust. That can't be tolerated. So, take care of it, will you?
All right.
Very well. Ren! And he turns and points to where Ren's, like, we'll say standing, like, inspecting the gun turrets on the ship. You're really used to, like, the one nose gun. You're like, oh my goodness, I've got, like, 5 guns. This is a whole new experience.
I'm on cloud 9. This is awesome.
All right, well, I would like you to take a look. And he points over, and you see that there are just barrels being wheeled up into the cargo bay. And he says, we know about your particular penchant for strong drink, so we've arranged for some of the Alliance's finest to be aboard.
Take out my flask and kind of thanks.
Very well. Mr. Hawk.
Yes, sir.
We have installed the custom modifications to the piloting array that you requested. It's been a long time since we've seen anybody fly with a joystick, but that is what you asked for.
It gives me the nimbleness I need. I very much appreciate it. I wonder if perhaps, given our mission brings us back to Mr. Lemon, whether we would be able to take a mock replica of the storage containment that you have for the Stardust, if we do need to get close to him by way of stealth. It may help sell a story to have something that looks like what he requested.
And he grins at you. Go ahead.
And we could get paid twice.
He grins at you, and then he turns to Ghost, and he says, it's already aboard, darling. Is there anything else?
Anything else you can think of, Hawk? Ren?
My needs are met. Thank you very much for the very airworthy accommodation.
I'm happy, ma'am.
Dr. Bowden?
Yeah, it's fine. He walks onto the ship.
Very well, darling. We'll see you in a few weeks. And with that, he turns, and his series of 4 commandos that essentially follow him everywhere spin on their heels, holster their rifles against their shoulder, and head off in the direction of the elevator. And you are left alone with your crew and the Ambrose.
So it seems, Ghost, that you've gotten a bit of a promotion. I was starting to get used to a little bit of leadership, but anything you need from me, you've got my...
Well, you are, of course, my pilot, so practically my right-hand man.
Good to hear.
And at this point, you can just hear Sprocket yelling excitedly from the ship. You can't really make out what she's saying, but she's really excited.
What's got you so excited out there, Sprocket?
I come running out and I'm like, this ship is awesome! And I like
It
my
is.
little droid friend!
Okay.
And I just run back inside and I'm looking at more things.
All right. So, you guys board the ship, and off you go. The ship is substantially larger than what you're used to. However, it's not like a cruiser. It is just a regular kind of frigate sort of cargo ship. But you do have bunks for everyone. So that is unique. You're not sharing bunks the way you were aboard the Axiom. And the bridge of the ship, the cockpit of the ship, is much nicer than where you are used to. The command chair is actually in the center, rather than off in kind of a corner where Crash liked it. And you're able to settle into positions. Ren, you are probably in the gunner's turret. And the gunner's turret is very interesting. You get in and you have this main gun that you can settle into. and it's not quite a nose cannon. It's mounted up and back on the ship, but it has roughly 180-degree rotation. But you notice that there are 4 little bots that are like installed into chairs, and you notice on your interface that you can assign bots to different cannons and thus take over different cannons yourself as well. And they're just like installed there, and they kind of like turn and look at you and nod and then look back down to their instruments. So Bowden, you've been with Ethericorp for a bit. This isn't your first ship. You have a tendency to not stay on them very long for some reason, but you've been assigned here, and so you get to the med bay and like you get it, like you've been here before. So
I'm gonna immediately go through and like pull out the stocked utensils for medics and just chuck them in the trash and pull my own out of my bag and set them on the shelf.
Okay.
I think I may need a bit of attention from Bowden, given the encounter I had with Mr. Doran on our last mission. Hopefully, Bowden, you can help get some of this facial injury healing and reduce this.
Geez, son, didn't you learn to duck?
I tried to let him know to duck.
Yeah, but you ganged up on me instead. But I admire the creativity. So I think that as we approach the Chess Nebula, just so that we can all get the hang of our positions, we take the same route back behind the moon of the gas giant, if that's all right with you, Cap.
That sounds like a good idea.
Plotting a course.
I'm going to start practicing shooting on asteroids as we pass, just for the fun.
Okay. Yeah.
Whoa, that's got some kick. It's throwing us off course just a little bit. So fire forward if you're going to be taking some long shots off the sides.
Yeah, whatever.
You also know that, like, between you and Sprocket, Ren, that's something you can adjust to not be as bad. It's just, it's more of a byproduct of how Hawk chooses to fly, because Hawk uses a vastly more tactile function of flying, and he has a lot less, like, autocorrect involved than many others do. So for him, those things are going off, and it's Ethericorp engineers just didn't really plan for that, and so there are things that the two of you can adjust with some time. But yeah, you get the sights dialed in. You're able to, it's a good ship. It's got good solid weapons. Sprocket, you're ecstatic. This is the first time you've been on a ship that wasn't essentially like falling apart on you at every turn. So that's a super cool kind of thing.
Yeah, and I get a droid, which is also very cool.
Yep, and you get Cyclic, who, he's whirring around, and just arm up, second arm, pops out, because it looks like it's essentially 6 arms, but it's just 2, like, gimbals that come down, like 2 boom arms, and then there's 3 arms on each one of those, and so it just sort of rotates through. And for a minute, you get, like, this brief image of him just, like, extending his arms and, like, all of them spinning like chainsaws, and it's moderately terrifying as a thing. But you eventually reach the Chess Nebula, and Ghost, as you are nearing the Chess Nebula, your console blips.
Do I know what this blip means?
Essentially, it's like an email alert kind of thing.
Oh, well, then I will check it.
Okay. All right. So you have 2, actually. One of them is a voice comm, like voice recording from Keld, and the other, the subject line is like asterisk ampersand $, asterisk 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 exclamation point, and it's signed with tilde CC.
Lovely. So you're writing in code.
Well, there's a voice message attached to that one, but that's just the subject line, and like the sender is tilde CC.
Oh. I will play the voice message because that doesn't make any sense.
Okay. So the voice message comes on. What do y'all think you're doing? You taking my ship off beyond the Chess Nebula, and then now it shows up driven by some freaking bot, and it's impounded now, and you owe me a lot of money, Ghost. A lot of money, because now I gotta go back, and I gotta get my freaking ship back from the Alliance. And you know how hard it is to get things back from the Alliance once they're impounded? I ain't got that kind of cash. And, like, he's still ranting as the message, like, essentially he, like, forgets that he's ranting and it cuts off at some point. But he just is yelling and swearing at you and being rageful.
Yep. I don't need that message. Delete.
Okay. Alrighty.
He got his ship back, sort of. Came back. He can deal with it.
Okay. Alright.
What did the second message say?
The second message is from Keld, and it pops up, and it's a little picture of Keld, and he's reclined back in a lounge. He's got like a bowl of like cherries in his hand, and he's got some glass. I forgot to speak with you before you left, darling, about how to get through the Chess Nebula. You will have a code that will be contained in this email. Once you approach the patrols, I suggest you transmit it. You will be boarded. However, the code will make it so the inspection is very brief, and there will be a box that's contained in your cargo hold that I suggest you perhaps offer as trade. You'll know the one, dear. And it cuts out. And Hawk, at this point, your instrument's like bloop, 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 and you are approaching the scanner net for the Chess Nebula barricades.
Captain Ghost, I am inclined to approach this the same way as last time, which was a little bit bumpy, but I think I can do it, unless you received alternate instructions.
Yes, I just recently got a message that he almost forgot to send us. We have a code that we can send now. We don't need to be so stealthy as we were last time.
So is this a communications method through our next leg of the journey, or am I to receive flight instructions?
As far as I know, he just sent a code that we need to broadcast, and then when we are asked to pull over, essentially, they will board us, and we will offer them a box, and they will let us through. If it works according to his instructions.
Yeah, so Hawk, when you reached the Chess Nebula before, you were cloaked and then you had to fly through yourself. The Chess Nebula does have open points that are essentially like turnpikes that will lead you through, and they've been cleared out and they've been patrolled, but going through them requires exponentially more clearance than you had previously. Rather than going into an uncharted section, you now have the option to hit one of these passageways and fly through it, and essentially you'll get an escort that'll take you through. So you'll more or less be escorted by, you know, a squad of fighters that will escort you through one of the...
Sounds good. Captain, do you have the file that we'll need to present at the checkpoint?
I will send it straight to your console.
Thank you very much. As soon as I have it, I'll proceed to the...
All right. Yep. So you approach that checkpoint, and you get that Vessel Ambrose. This is checkpoint 14. Please confirm identity and confirm destination.
Checkpoint 14. This is the Ambrose.
Captain Ghost, I presume?
Yes, that is correct.
Very well. My name is Sergeant Venjix. Please proceed into flight path and transmit clearance.
She's going to transmit their code.
Okay. Code received. Thank you very much. And there is a pause, and it says, you get the message back. Ambrose, please prepare for docking. We'll be docking a fighter on your starboard, and please and thank you.
This is Pilot Hawk preparing for boarding.
Okay. But at that point, you feel the kind of like wrench of the ship as your docking cable extends out, and you connect with the fighter, and you receive instructions to meet down at the docking port. That is, unlike with the other ship, is actually just a separate porthole on the side. So, Ghost, your presence is required, but you get to call in whoever you want to be there.
Hawk, Ren, if you could come with me.
Happy to.
Right. I look over to one of the other droids that are manning the guns. I'm like, I'm going to call you Bob. You're in charge of the guns.
Ren, darling, if you could please lock down the gun so that there aren't any accidents, that might be bad.
Bob got it. I trust Bob.
You've just met Bob.
Guns locked down, Captain. Thank you.
On the other hand, Bob might be even better at his job than you.
Watch it, Bob. Got my eye on you.
Yes, sir. So you and Ghost proceed to the airlock, Ren, and you see that there are 3 Alliance soldiers standing at the airlock, and you know that most Alliance fighters are manned by 3 people. So this is just 1 fighter's worth of crew. And they're awaiting your permission/signal to enter as you open your airlock door.
Permission to board.
And one steps in. He says, "Thank you. I am Venjix. We need to do a quick inspection, ma'am. Your code was a bit out of date, so we need to do a sweep and see what we can find. We don't have any record of this vessel going past any checkpoint, so that's a pretty substantial concern in and of itself. We also don't.
You might need to check your records better, or the people who enter your records. That is indeed a problem.
You could hit him with a persuasion roll. He's currently neutral towards you, so you're not going to have a plus or minus here.
$12.
So he kind of looks at the ravishingly attractive Ghost and smiles, and he says, "Things have been known to slip through the cracks from time to time. That's absolutely true. Unfortunately, my CO is in the big fighter out there, and I still need to do the sweep. But we'll make it quick."
Of course, whatever you need. I'm sure nothing slips through on your watch.
Okay, so he sweeps, and they do the clockwise rotation. It's, bridge into med bay, into mess hall. They arrive at like the ladder that leads down to the second level, and the second level is all bunks. And one fighter, the pilot, goes down, sweeps the bunks, comes back up, shakes his head that nothing's unusual. you hit essentially the mechanic bay and finally arrive at the cargo hold. And the cargo hold is key code locked, so you do have to let them in. You let them in, you descend down the ladder, and they start to go through your cargo. And up until this point, the sweep's been pretty cursory, but they start going through things pretty effectively and pretty in detail at this point. So, and Ren, you're there as well. And Sprocket, you're actually probably here with Cyclic, because you've started to make modifications, as I would assume you would do, and so you need some of the raw materials out of things. And the lieutenant turns to you. Captain Ghost, were you aware that you have a stowaway child aboard your vessel?
I'm not a stowaway.
No, wait. Do you mean this blue child here?
Yes.
No, she's a member of the crew. She is highly intelligent and also very useful.
I see. Very well. And he approaches and slides the top off of one crate, and you see that inside that crate, which you didn't really see what it was that Keld had loaded aboard your vessel before you left, this crate has what looks like a glass case inside of it, and it is full of some kind of blue gas. And as he kind of taps his finger against it, you see like bursts of starlight in the gas, and you probably would guess that this is the stardust that you were sent to steal in the first place in your previous gig.
Like it looks like the actual stuff, not just
Yeah,
fake
this
stuff?
looks like legitimate stuff. Interesting, Captain Ghost. You don't have this on your cargo manifest. You want to explain to me what it is?
Well, as far as I know, it's highly... It's...
Starting to get the impression you don't actually know, Captain.
It's classified. I'm trying to figure out how high your level is so that I don't reveal too much information.
Well, my level is the level of the Alliance Patrol Officer assigned with searching your vessel at a legal checkpoint. That's what my level is. So unless you have business papers somewhere telling me that you're on a top secret Alliance mission, government protocol supersedes any corp nonsense. And definitely supersedes any freelance nonsense. So you want to try again?
Do any of us see the box that we're supposed to like give them?
You can give me a notice roll.
Can I do that as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're in the cargo bay, you definitely can.
I will as well.
Okay, I will. Just a second.
Okay, while they're looking, she's gonna go ahead and say, yes, I'm not entirely sure that is a high enough clearance level. I need to talk to your CO. I have something that needs to be given directly to him.
I see. All right. 3. All right, so no.
4, actually.
Oh,
Sorry.
4, because of... All right. So, yeah. You look around, and you have been up doing piloty things. Most of getting to the Chess Nebula wasn't super bad, and so for you, you have a pretty strong knowledge. This box is probably it. because everything else is on your cargo manifest. This is the only thing that's not. So it's possible this is it, unless there's something that you're not seeing, or something that's not in the cargo bay. But Lieutenant Venjix steps aside, keys his little microphone that's in his collar, and he says, "Very well. I will remain here. My pilot and my gunner will proceed back to the fighter, and you will receive dock from the command fighter. And the commander will come aboard."
Very
Captain, may
well.
I have a word with you?
Of course, if you could excuse me for a moment.
I have a feeling that the reason that this crate isn't on the manifest is that it may be a bribe or a bargaining chip. If it's as powerful as the use case that TheraCorp had in mind for the larger payload, it could be dangerous. So I propose that we tell Venjix's CEO that this is stardust capable of catalyzing an asteroid for the harvesting of energy, and for the dissolution of that asteroid or whatever planetary body they choose to use it on, and essentially lead them to believe that it's not a weaponized strength of stardust, but nonetheless valuable. What are your thoughts on that plan?
He said he would put a box on here that we could use to fool Lemon into thinking we had stardust, and now I find a box full of actual stardust.
Would you like me to search, Captain, to see whether there is a dummy box in addition to this authentic storage container?
That would be very helpful. I'm all for offloading this container on their CO. Getting stopped here does us no good, so we will proceed with that plan so far.
Okay. While you're having this conversation, the two other members of the Alliance crew have stepped out, and you feel the kind of jolt as it disengages, and after about 90 seconds, you feel another similar jolt. This one actually much heavier, because you know that the command fighter is a bigger vessel. It's like a heavy fighter rather than just a basic. And Bob radios down to Ren. Ren, and we have 5 Alliance soldiers that have just entered. 3 of them are headed to the cargo bay. One of them appears to be headed somewhere else, and one is staying at the door. Just thought you want to know. Also, guns are still locked down. I am following that order.
Good job.
Thank you. Okay.
Did Doc notice the one that peeled off, and can he follow him?
He is actually coming into the med bay. So he enters the med bay and looks at Bowden. Think I might know you.
Possible.
Yeah, I think you're responsible for the death of my brother.
Possible. What was his name?
Alfred Jones. Battle of Two Moons.
Does that ring a bell?
It's up to you. I'll give you a Benny if it does.
You should play it as he was a patient that you were unable to save and therefore responsible for his death.
Shorter guy, curly hair.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, I remember him.
Great.
Sorry about him. Wasn't one of my best recoveries.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. And he's kind of walking toward you. Reports tell me you were drunk. At least that's what the official ones say.
I was.
9 versus your parry. 2. Okay. So he's standing there talking to you.
No.
And he's walking closer and closer. And then he just hauls out and just slugs you. Dead in the jaw. And he did make a called shot on your jaw there. So he is going to get a +4 to this roll. So that's going to be 11 versus your toughness. 5. Okay. So he's not here to kill you, but he is here to hurt you. So since you got the Benny, what I'm going to pitch is you just drop. You know, it's a, parry of 2, toughness of 5. You're not really the most stalwart of heroes in this particular sense, and you also just got totally surprised. Technically he probably has the drop on you as well, so that's another 4. So it's going to be non-lethal. You're not going to take any wounds here, but he just drops you and you just are out. So go ahead and,
I'll take it.
Yep, go ahead and take your Benny. You are going to wake up with a level of like bruising fatigue because he legitimately just kicks the crap out of you while you're unconscious. And then heads back to his post at the door. Those of you down in the cargo bay don't see any of this, but a large woman enters the room, and she is in full dress uniform, and you can see that all along her baldric are a lot of commendations. And if any of you have, you can give me a common knowledge roll at a -1. Anybody in there who wants to like try and figure out where it is that she's been.
I'll roll for it.
I'll do that.
Ren, you're fighty enough that you probably don't have the -1. You've probably had enough background.
I got a 5. -1 is a 4.
Okay.
I didn't get anything. I got a 2.
I got a 16. I'm using up all my luck now.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay. And Ren?
I got a 3.
All right. So you're pretty much just like, you're watching the soldiers going through the drink and being like, what are you doing? Don't, that's got to say sealed, man. Like, stop. Hawk, you, same thing. Just don't really know anything. Sprocket, you, with a success, you see that something's really special about her because she is wearing commendations that aren't just Alliance military commendations. There are planetary commendations. There are low-end government commendations. And there's one that you just don't recognize. Ghost, with a 16, you recognize that commendation that's on their baldric, and it is a black and like a jet and ruby pin in the shape of a rose, and you recognize it as an obsidian rose commendation, which means that at some point a criminal syndicate gave her an award, and she's earned enough respect in the Alliance military to be allowed to wear that commendation on her uniform. And she comes down the ladder and turns and looks at all of you. So, you thought it was necessary that I come aboard. You didn't think the lieutenant could handle it?
I'm not sure his clearance is high enough for this. Can we step to the side for a moment, please?
And she just sort of like tilts her head, and you see that without even questioning, the two soldiers that came in with her and Venjix all climb the ladder and are gone.
Very good. Have you heard of Stardust?
Are we talking the Ancient Earth film? Are we talking the mythological material? Or are we talking the weapon catalyst?
We're talking... Well, aren't weapon catalyst and mythological material one and the same?
Technically, yes. But not really. There's a substantial scientific and chemical difference.
Then I'm not entirely sure what kind of Stardust I have. But that doesn't really matter since I intend to give it to you.
I see. And she kind of looks around. All right. Well. And she looks at Hawk and Ren, and she says, I'll have my men do another sweep of the bunks. There's a compartment in the back of the fighter. Code 3174. Make sure it's in there. Make sure it's secure. Let me know when you're back. And we'll have you on your way.
Very good.
Ren, would you care to accompany me to 3174? And I've
Sure.
grabbed one end of the crate.
Yep. I grab my end.
Okay. So you make your way up. Enter the fighter. It is a big, heavy command fighter. 5 seats. Cargo space in the back. And there is a locker in the back, and that code does open it, and you're able to deposit your Stardust there. Seal it up. As it seals, you both can give me a notice roll.
All right.
I made a terrible mistake. I poured my water on top of my existing tea bags. And it wasn't hot, so now I have like this weird cold extracted tea grossness. My life is over.
11 for me.
Okay.
7.
All right. Ren, you see that the touch screen on top of the locker blips for a second. But you're not really able to notice anything other than the blip does occur. Hawk, your eyes are a little bit faster, something about that like being trained to fly kind of thing. And you notice that it blips, and you see that there is a black kind of rose symbol that shows up on the locker for a second and then vanishes just as quickly as it appeared. And you almost aren't sure you saw it.
All right.
That looks familiar for some reason. Oh well. Take a swig.
Okay.
Going for a drink, Hawk?
No, I think I'll be flying today.
Suit yourself. Maybe the doc will want a drink. We can get to know that guy.
All right, so you make your way back aboard ship, and the commander has stood with Ghost in the cargo bay the entire time and hasn't said a word in that whole time period. But when the other two enter, she nods to them and looks at Ghost. Very well, Captain. I see that you're in full accordance with all of the statutes as required for travel in and out of the Chess Nebula. Safe flight.
Of course. Thank you.
And she ascends back up the ladder. She and her 4 soldiers disembark, and you hear that detach, and they fly off into the distance.
Captain, did you program anything into the Stardust storage container before I put it on board the commander's ship?
No, unfortunately, since we got that message a little late, hadn't even seen it before they found it. Why?
I thought I saw a commendation looked like a black flower on her uniform. There was a moment when that image appeared on the crate that I loaded. I don't know why that would be.
Oh, interesting. Do you know what that black flower means?
I don't. I'm surprised I was even able to make the connection between the two.
That black flower is the mark of a crime syndicate. A very
Okay, so maybe Keld and the commander have some of the same connections, or friends of friends.
Yes, it looks like we might be funneling Stardust to a crime syndicate. Lovely. I think we need to be paid more for this.
Well, what's a crime syndicate other than a group of motivated and creative individuals?
Yes, who we just gave a catalyst to that could wipe out a whole planet.
I haven't stood on a solid planet in 3 years. We don't need.
Yes, but I still think that means we should be getting paid more.
I wouldn't argue there.
All right, let's blow this popsicle stand.
Okay. You go to head off to your, you go back to your stations aboard the bridge, and you
It's a fairly direct path back to Seleucia Station from here, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we had no reason that was to be our rendezvous point with Monsieur Lemon in the car.
Yep.
Do I see, or before I get to my piloty duties, find out whether we do have another crate that could be passed off as a Stardust storage crate for Mr.
Your fake crate was loaded onto the bridge, and it is present in essentially the captain's locker on the bridge.
Okay, good to know.
Because it's currently listed as valuable cargo on your manifest.
Is Ghost on the bridge with? So are we in the same room?
Yes. So for the most part, you and Ghost are on the bridge together a majority of the time. Ren is in the weapons bay, at least right now, as a general rule, but he can fire the main gun and coordinate bots from up here. But at least based on previous game, and Ren can make decisions as we go forth, based on previous game, he's a lot more used to being in that gunner's bay because he couldn't fire from the bridge aboard the Axiom. Sprocket and Cyclic are in the mechanic lab, and nobody's seen Bowden in a while.
I was gonna go check on him to see if he wanted a drink.
Okay.
Since Hawk turned me down.
Okay. So you can definitely do that. You head off to find Bowden. We'll cover what's going on the bridge, and then we'll jump there.
Captain Ghost, what are your thoughts about our initial approach to Mr. Lemon?
I think this is something we need to consider carefully. He does have some very competent-looking bodyguards.
Agreed. Would a consult with Ren be the order of the day, so to speak? Make sure we've got a security mind checking off on the plan.
Yes. And we might want to get Sprocket in on it as well. She sometimes has some interesting ideas.
I know that the Actium was able to make the trip in a matter of several hours. I'm guessing we'll be a bit faster, but we'll want to make full use of the time.
Yes, how is our time? He did give us a time limit that we had to be back by.
You were able to communicate with him that there had been complications. And because you were given a 48-hour time limit, but then it did take you 2 weeks to get your hands aboard, to get your hands on stuff. When the Actium was sent back with the bots, a small amount of Stardust was sent, and so that money has actually been wired to you. But you were also told that it wasn't a full amount. And what you did is essentially like, we were in this position where we wanted to fulfill our contract. We couldn't fulfill our contract and get safely back. So we essentially sent the robot-powered ship back. We have the rest of your shipment, but it will be this long. And so you have received a portion of your payment, and now you need to take the rest to him. But you do know that Aethericorp sent real Stardust in small quantity as like a token of good faith, because they couldn't put you on a ship quickly enough.
Okay, good. Then, Hawk, I suggest we don't try to get there as fast as possible. Let's take our time a little bit and try to think things through. Even if no plan does survive contact with you.
I wonder if perhaps if we do need, if an element of our plan requires force, should we stop at a station that could supply us with security droids or other mechanized support for an attack?
You know that if you roll into Seleucia Station that heavily armed, you're not getting any of that aboard the station. It's essentially like a waypoint for peace, and a lot of the time, like security droids, war droids, battle bots, those kind of things, they're not allowed on the station at all. And finding, coming aboard, being found with them goes poorly. And like, for example, like Veruca, Ren's assault rifle is required to stay aboard the vessel. You're only allowed hand weapons on Seleucia Station.
Okay. It could be as simple as all of us showing up ready for a fight, and if we plan it around the time when he is least heavily guarded, we can achieve the objective of taking out Mr. Lemon, and hopefully getting out without dying ourselves. but we need to figure out what time and place that's going to be, and we may have to dictate some of that to make it happen.
Yes. And it just occurred to me, it might be useful to get the doctor in on this, because poisons can be useful.
Hold on, we'll get right to you, Sprocket. We gotta jump to Ren, who was headed to the building. So at that point, you, Ren, step in, and Sprocket, you can actually be essentially headed up to talk to the captain about whatever, and then we can get you in on the scene. But you pass Ren, and Ren, you're looking into the med bay, and Bowden is just like face down in like a puddle of blood. Not like a huge amount of blood, like you can tell it's probably like a bloody nose and like a bloody lip, but he's just like face down.
Oh. I rush over to him. Yo, Doc. Doc, you okay? Oh. I kind of help him up to the bed.
Okay.
Hey, Sprocket. Come in here.
What is it?
We got a hurt Doc here. Someone attacked him.
Okay, what do you want me to do? I don't know how to fix people. Just ships.
I know how to hurt people. I don't know how to.
You stay with the doctor. I'm gonna go get Ghost.
Why don't you guys call the doctor to help me? And I'll just kind of limp over to a bed and sit down and start like taking care of myself.
Okay.
Just point me. What do you want me to do, Doc? I can get it for you.
I'm just gonna hold up the finger and just is like zip it.
I hold up my flask. I'm like, you want something to take the edge off?
I'll take it.
I'm
Big
gonna
long swig.
go update Ghost and
Okay.
them about what's going on.
All right. So Sprocket comes onto the bridge, Ghost and Hawk, and is. Yeah, so you walk onto the bridge, and they're essentially just finishing up the conversation that they just had.
So someone hurt our doctor really bad.
What do you mean someone, and what do you mean really bad?
Well, I don't know. Ren found him and he was all like, he had a bloody face and I didn't know what to do. He started to fix himself though, so I think he'll be okay.
Did you ask him what happened?
No.
Okay, go ask him what happened.
Okay.
And if he's dressing his own wounds, that's fine. But if there's still some kind of unresolved plot, we'll need.
I'll go see what happened.
You guys have a radio.
I was about to say, Ghost just gonna push the comm link button, and she's gonna be like, "Sick bay, this is the captain. What is going on?"
Hey, Cap, this is Ren. Found the doctor. He was on the floor. Someone knocked him a new one. Doing all right now, I think. Did some stuff with his stuff.
How did he get injured?
Yo, Doc, how'd you get injured?
Do I have to talk now, or can I bandage my ribs first?
We would like to know if there's still a problem aboard this ship.
There's no problems. You're good to go.
Then you may resume bandaging.
Aye, aye, Captain.
When you are done bandaging, please come up to the bridge. We need to have a meeting. That includes you, Ren.
Let's stick with the doc. Make sure everything's okay. Make sure he's not making a bloody mess everywhere.
I'm gonna ask to speak with Ghost more privately.
Okay, so ask to speak with Ghost more privately.
Hey, Ghost, can I talk to you for a minute?
All right. Hawk, if you could step out for a moment.
Step away from the controls, like autopilot, I guess.
Yeah. Do you need to visit the head for a moment? I can't imagine this would take very long.
You have like a little like ready room off the bridge if you need it, we'll say. Huck, you know, is kind of loath to like let a computer do his job.
All right, fine, Hawk. I'll let you stay and baby the ship, even though it's doing just fine. If you'll follow me, Sprocket. All right, Sprocket, what is it that you need, want?
Okay, so we haven't really discussed what the Calxori are like. But as a general, like they have a blue coloring, they have horns, and they have a tail, and they also have wings. But you guys don't know that she has wings because she keeps it hidden under her jacket. They're too small to be used right now, anyways, because she's not old enough. But that's not the point I was gonna bring up. I was just pointing out like she's very alien, really quickly for everyone here and the audience. And so in the actual character now, she's just gonna say to Ghost, well, I haven't told you something about the Calxori, and I don't know that you guys are familiar enough with them to know.
I must admit that I do not have much experience with your species, and you haven't been with us for very long. So, what is it, darling?
So you know that I have these claws on my hands and my feet. They actually have a type of poison in them that will paralyze someone. And I just thought I might want to tell you that because it could be useful.
Yes, indeed. That could be very useful. Thank you for confiding in me, Sprocket.
Of course.
Would it be all right if we let the rest of our crew in on this knowledge?
I suppose they'd find out eventually anyways.
That is true. We are most likely going to be leading a somewhat dangerous life, and I wouldn't want you to not use all the weapons at your disposal.
Fair enough.
All right then. Shall we back to the bridge? While we wait for Ren and the doctor to join us.
Yeah, by the time you guys come out of your meeting, Ren and the doc are aboard the bridge. They both smell like alcohol, as they seem wont to do. And Hawk is flying in a straight line with a joystick because he's Hawk. That's what he does.
And because that's fairly easy and doesn't require all of my mental attention, I say, you know, Sprocket, when you and Ghost need to have girl talk, you don't need to hide. I grew up with sisters.
Okay.
That's lovely to know, Hawk. We'll keep that in mind. Ren, I see that you found a friend in our doctor.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
We
yes.
go way back.
Or at least you have a common interest.
We both have an appreciation for the finer things in life. Excuse me.
Indeed. Are you sober enough to actually contribute to this meeting?
Always.
Doctor,
Yes, Captain.
I take it that your injuries are not too severe?
They'll mend.
Good. Doctor, what do you know of our current mission?
Nothing.
Yeah, you were essentially like told, this is your new ship. This is your new captain. Go fix them when necessary.
Have you been with the TheraCorp for long?
A while.
So you are aware of how they operate?
Yep.
So if I were to tell you that our current mission involves assassinating someone, are you going to have a problem with that?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time I've seen this.
Good. Now we need to go about figuring out how we are going to accomplish this without getting ourselves killed as well. Our
Poison's
target,
always
by the way,
good.
is a Monsieur Lemon. Have you heard of him?
Give me a common knowledge roll.
Seven.
All right, 7's not a raise. You haven't heard of Monsieur Lemon specifically, but you have heard of Lemon Limited, which you know is a jewelry company.
Any way related to the jewelry company?
That is indeed correct. He is the owner of the jewelry company, the jeweler. And he also has quite competent bodyguards, and we need to find a way to get around them or through them and accomplish our mission.
I say we invite him on board to inspect the cargo, because we don't want to be traipsing through a space station with stardust. And if you want, he can arrange to have it moved to his ship. Or that's the story we tell him. But I say, bring him on board on our turf.
Does he trust you enough to come on board?
That's why I would say that's a good plan A, but I think we need to come up with a plan B because I'm not sure we're going to be able to get him to come on board our ship. Ideas?
Do we remember how many bodyguards there were?
There was a blue guy.
The blue guy didn't appear super dangerous. He was kind of more... He essentially, like, pushed the wheelchair a bunch. But you had a distinct sense that you weren't ever alone when Mr. Lemon was there.
He wasn't the same kind of species as Sprocket, was he?
No.
So we didn't actually see the other guys. We just sort of felt we were being watched.
Yeah, you didn't necessarily see anybody. You just got the impression that there was definitely somebody there. And you know that personal cloaking devices are definitely a thing. Not necessarily legal, but a thing.
I forgot to mention that the Calxori have infrared vision, so could help with that. Or at least detecting them. If she's paying attention.
So Sprocket might have detected them last time we were there.
Wasn't she busy in a closet with a droid?
Yeah.
I definitely
true,
was.
I forgot that part.
But not in the way that came across.
Yeah, but Rand makes it sound the worst possible way.
Came across very 7 minutes in heaven.
I just fixed a droid's head. That's it. Like,
And by fixed, you gave him a function entirely unnecessary to his job.
It was fun.
That's what went on. Alrighty, so you guys at this point are on approach to Seleucia Station. You receive your landing codes. You are told to dock in docking ring Q10. And as you approach, and as you have finished communicating with the station, you get a secondary hail on an encrypted frequency from Monsieur Lemon.
Before we get to that, can I interject really quick?
Sure.
When we first got on the ship, Matt asked the doctor for some help. Did he actually need healing? Were you actually wounded and want some healing, or are you just asking for just story time, like fix me?
If that was 2 weeks ago, he's probably fine.
Yeah,
by
you're
now.
good. Atheracorp took care of you.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
he
cool.
essentially was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you're my doc. Give me a physical."
Right. I was tying in the previous storyline with the new character. Was all.
Yep. So essentially,
Maybe-
like, "Hey, these are what I know. This is what's happened to me." So,
He maybe just asked him to like look at the scars on his face to see if he could make them go away or something.
yeah, and between Atheracorp and Bowden, you're good. You're not rocking an ugly hindrance or anything. Yet.
Yay.
What are you saying?
Dun dun.
That depends on how many times Bowden's got to do surgery and how many times Ren accidentally punches him in the face.
Oopsie.
Okay, so you guys are on approach. You get the communique from Lemon. It's up. I mean, it's up to you if you want to answer or not.
Hello.
Yes, Miss Ghost, I assume. I see that you approach in a very different vessel. I'm rather impressed with your resourcefulness.
Yes, well, I stick with an old ship when you can upgrade.
I see. Very well. I have received word from my contacts aboard Command Control that you will be docking at Bay Q10. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Wonderful. Alrighty, well, I will have my associates meet you there, and they can come aboard and inspect the cargo.
They can inspect the cargo, but as far as the drop-off, we would like to meet in person.
Well, the drop-off will certainly not happen aboard Seleucia. It would be difficult to get it past customs.
So would you like to come to the Ambrose, then?
It is currently outside of my capability due to medical obligations. However, we will make arrangements once my crew has identified that the merchandise is genuine. Lemon out. And the transmission cuts. And at this point, you feel the minor tractor beam that's associated with docking on the station attach. And it's essentially like, it doesn't have any kind of real force control. It's just not everybody's as good a pilot as Hawk. And it helps you guide down into the docking ring and essentially put you in the parallel parking place. Because you're not in a private docking bay. So essentially it's going to be like, your ship, your ship, your ship, your ship, right? Like, going to be like 6 ships all lined up in a row. And essentially what happens is you get in and you get grabbed, and then it more or less moves you to the right position and lowers you down. And as you dock, we are, audience and crew of Do Respite, we're going to take our 5 to 7 minute bio break, as it is just before 11 Mountain Time. So we're going to take that break, and we will be back with you shortly with more of The Stars That Bind. Stay with us. And we're back. Thanks for joining us again. Hope everybody had a good break. My name is once again Eric Taylor, and I'm your storyteller here on The Stars That Bind, Savage World Space Opera. We got our cast. They're just docking at docking ring Q10, and Mr. Lemon has informed them that his associates will meet them at the dock to inspect the cargo to arrange for a drop-off at an appropriate location. So, you guys get tractored in, dropped into your location. You're next to like a big Terran Earth freighter that's just hideous. It's like a box with wings. And then you're next to a really sleek, kind of super sexy, like Orion freighter. And that's what's on either side. And there's several other ships. But you get a like IM kind of ping from Mr. Fine that his associates will be there in 15 minutes.
All right, Hawk. We have 15 minutes, and it doesn't sound like Monsieur Lemon is going to be coming aboard our ship.
So, do we leave the ship, allow them to knock on the door until they realize we're not here, so that we can poison Monsieur Lemon where he lives?
Well, first he is going to send some associates of his up to check out the cargo, and then he says that he will tell us where the drop can take place. So perhaps we should let them check it over. I'm hoping Mr. Keld could get something that looks fairly convincing, and then we can go from there, see what they suggest.
So we trust the believability of the package and bide our time for the right moment.
Do you have a better suggestion?
Captain.
Don't we have enough time to check it?
And you hear from a console, you hear, Captain, if I may.
Yes.
And you turn and there's an image and you see that essentially text is coming across the screen, but then it's it's text to speeching for you, so the computer is speaking. But it is Flora, and Flora is in the lab. Captain.
Oh, yes, Flora.
I can come and do an analysis on the package if you would like. I know what the properties of Stardust should be.
Would it be faster if we got the package to you?
Sure.
I
will be in the science lab.
You're awfully tall, and some of our passageways are not.
I will attempt to not take that as racially offensive. Please bring the package to me. And then the camera cuts.
I was reading over her shoulder, so I'm going to enlist Ren to help me move the crate to the science.
Okay.
Yep.
Give me... So you guys start to lift it. It's going to take more than two of you.
Come on, Bowden. Are you well enough?
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Okay. So between the three of you guys, like, and it's super awkward and super heavy. And what's more obnoxious is that the weight seems to shift inside. So it's like when someone sends you like a really heavy Christmas present, but doesn't put like packing peanuts in it. So everything's just like sloshing around.
Can we go like 2 feet, and then I'll just turn to the captain and go, "Can you just call the lady up here, please?"
If it was going to be that difficult, all you had to do was say so. Flora,
Yes,
it
Captain.
turns out that the package is extremely bulky and ungainly. Could you please come up here after all?
I would be happy to, Captain. And after about like probably 2 minutes is all. So you've used 3 of your 15. Flora arrives and like folds down, and you see that they're about 3.5 foot tall at the moment, and then folds up into a larger stature and has instruments kind of all up in their robe. And then they're not making any sound because they're mute and they were typing to you on a console, but you see them go like this and points at a button on the side, and looking down you see that it says stabilize, and she presses it and you see like this like shift in color, and like the swirly mess that's in the glass solidifies, and it would probably be vastly easier at this point to carry. But they begin their like study.
Ah, very good, Flora. I need to make sure to call on your special abilities more often.
Is it me, or were they making fun of us just now?
Might have been making fun of you, but
Whatever.
I was just doing it.
I take out my flask and I drink to Flora.
Flora like nods at you, and you see like this like flower like sprout on her arm, and like lifts it up, and you see like this proboscis go down, and they essentially like drink nectar from their own flower, which is super creepy.
That looks like really handy.
And they just like walk over and like pour some in your flask. It's delicious.
That is amazing.
Doc swipes it from him and takes a swig too.
Also delicious. But they give you like this thumbs up and then goes back to inspecting. Then they walk over to the captain's console and like point at the like keyboard.
Yes, of course, Flora.
Captain, it would appear that the mixture within the container is roughly 30% pure. That may be enough to trick the scanners of Monsieur Lemon. However, I cannot verify for certain the strength with which they will be able to scan the container.
All right, thank you, Flora.
You're welcome.
Is there anything we can do to improve that chance that they're full?
Do you have more stardust?
Not currently, no.
Then not really.
Could we hide a device that makes their scanners less effective? Not necessarily not work, but less effective?
It is possible that Miss Sprocket may be able to whip something up in 7.5 minutes. However, I make no promises, as I am not them.
I can try.
Certainly. I'm not the captain. I'm going to return to my science lab, and there I will extract more nectar for our 2 resident drunkards.
Awesome.
I'm gonna immediately start messing with things to see if I can figure out how to make something like that.
Okay.
So is this going to be an interference sort of contraption, or are you doing something else to try to improve our chance?
I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet
you
because
gotta
I'm still
tell me.
looking at stuff.
You gotta tell me, what are you shooting for? What are you trying to do?
Maybe I'll try to make something that boosts the signal so that it makes things read as positive for Stardust.
Okay. What skills do you have that you feel are relevant to accomplishing that?
I have electronics and repair.
Does anyone on the bridge, as Flora has now left and is not here to solve your problems, is anyone on the bridge equipped with some sort of scientific skills, because you've got to be able to help them duplicate the readings?
I have a
closest.
D10 in. I have a D10 in smarts, but my field is in healing.
Okay.
Could I do something that makes their equipment faulty instead? That way they.
That's probably more within your realm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
So
then if they can't get a reading, they'll just have to say, we're just going to have to get a reading somewhere else.
all right. So the way we're gonna roll this is you are gonna make a roll. You are going to make an electronics roll to create the device, and then a repair roll to install the device. Your electronics roll, essentially, you are trying to squeeze a fairly complicated set of actions into roughly a 5-minute time period. So your electronics roll itself is going to be at a -2, and then you're going to be at a -2 penalty as well to the repair roll, because you have to be able to get it onto the canister in such a surreptitious way as to not be detectable. So let's start with the electronics roll first. I am going to let you know, before you read me your number, that you will meta no success as Micah, the player. Sprocket will not. So Sprocket has committed themselves to this action and will be creating a scanner or a disruptor and installing it regardless of what number you pull here. So that's something to consider in terms of Benny use. But that will determine consequences. So what did you get on your electronics roll?
Sorry, I got a 6, so I need to roll again.
You got a 6 minus the 2, right? So that's a 4.
Yeah, but I still got a 6 on my dice roll, so it still explodes,
Oh,
right?
so it explodes. Yep. Gotcha. I'm
Yeah.
with you.
So then I got 4 with it, so 10.
All right, so an 8. Yep. So you whip up something, and you are pretty solidly confident that's going to provide some disruption. Now you got to get it on there.
All right. Got a 6 again. I need to roll. And a 9.
Gotcha.
But I have a +2 for my repair because of my Mr. Fix-It.
Okay, so this is not technically fixing, so we won't apply that one because you're not repairing something, you're attaching something sneakily, and I'm not making you roll stealth. So,
But I have good stealth. I can roll that too.
Or we can just go with a 7. Okay, so you do get it on there, and you're pretty sure you've got it hidden. And like last minute, you're like closing the panel, you're like zzz, 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 doing in the last bolts, and at that point you hear Ghost coming along the corridor with guests, and you have just enough time to like shove all your equipment underneath a table and like stand up and like whistling in front of it. As Ghost, you enter with the tall, very angular blue individual, and also with 2 other smaller individuals, one of whom has like green fuzzy hair that's incredibly patchy and like a green goatee, and is about 2.5 feet tall, and looks up at you and like adjusts like this like jeweler's loop. Hi, I'm Newt. I'm here to do some scans.
Why, yes, hello. This way, if you would, please.
Absolutely. And so he walks over, starts to do some scans.
I keep an eye on him. He's mighty suspicious.
He's shifty. And he turns and looks at all of you. I'm impressed. You managed to get some real deal stuff. You're pretty good. All right, I'll let the boss know. And he walks out. And the blue guy looks at you. Well, Miss Ghost, it would appear that you have accomplished your mission as well as acquired a brand new vessel. I'm very impressed.
Why, thank you.
You're most welcome. I will be in touch once we arrange the drop point. Good luck. And he leaves, along with his security guard and Newt. And as Newt's leaving, he looks over at Sprocket. That was some pretty good work, kid. Well done. Shh, I won't tell anybody. And he walks off the ship. And you guys are left to your own devices. What do you want to do?
How long do we have?
You haven't gotten word from Deluvia or from Monsieur Lemon yet. But it does stand out to you, Sprocket, that short dude quite literally was just like, yeah, I saw what you did. Good job. Like, so he knows.
Did the rest of us hear that exchange?
Nope. All right, what do you guys want to do?
I still don't know what we're doing to kill Mr. Le.
I need you to, when you talk, Matt, hold your push to talk key for about 1.5 seconds longer than when your voice ends, because you're cutting off the end of your words.
I can do that. Thank you.
Could we rig the package to, is there enough Stardust there to cause a significant explosion that we could, remote detonate it when he's flying off within his ship?
I think the detonator would be a matter for Sprocket. Do you have experience with explosives?
Yeah. I do.
Sprocket's like, do you know what got me into mechanics in the first place? Pyromania.
Yes, I definitely have some experience.
Yeah. You probably can pull that off. Yeah, that's what you guys
I'll
want
make
to
an
do.
explosion.
And do you think that you could make it so that their scanners wouldn't see it?
Well, assuming they have the same guy as before, I'm not positive.
Why is that?
He told me he noticed what I did.
Oh, that could be a problem.
But if I have more time, I might be able to.
But he didn't tell them.
But I imagine if he's on the ship with them, he would notice.
Yes. He would most likely tell them if he's also going to be blown up. I wish we knew whether he was going to be on the ship with them or if he's just someone I hired from the station. Could someone, now that we're connected with the station, try to run a search on this Newt and see if he is an actual employee of the jeweler or if he is a resident of the station? Anybody? Don't jump all at once.
That seems like something Flora might be able to do.
I'll go ask them.
Maybe.
Comms. We have comms, people. This is a new shiny ship, not like the Actium. Yes, those comms hardly ever work.
But I was wanting to get some nectar.
Are you sure this is the time? Oh, fine.
Always.
Just go ask her, please.
I am on my way.
Okay, so you head up to the science lab. The science lab is essentially a terrarium. Like, you, enter and it's incredibly hot, incredibly humid. It smells, spicy and sweet all at the same time. And you kind of are looking around and you can give me a notice roll.
got a 5.
Okay. It takes you a minute, but you are able to pick out flora, but it's kind of rough given all of the, actual flora that is present in this room.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually you walk over.
Flora, it's good to see you. We were wondering if you might be able to look someone up in the station database. We were wondering if this particular individual works for Mr. Lemon or if he works for the station. Short guy, green hair, goes by the name Newt. Newt with a G, I believe.
And so she starts typing. I am a science officer, not an espionage specialist. That is not really my thing.
Well, if I go near a computer, it usually crashes. So I was hoping you might have better luck than me.
Not unless the computer is alive or being used to speak to you.
All right. Well, maybe Sprocket can get something.
Here you go.
Oh, you know me so well.
And it's a good, leader of nectar. Please be careful. The ABV is quite potent.
I will.
It works best as a mixer.
Thanks.
You are most welcome.
Okay, now I get in the comm and say, Sprocket, it's up to you to find this Newt. Flora doesn't know how to hack. Maybe your droid friend might know.
I can ask him. So he doesn't have a comm, right? So I'm gonna have to go find him.
I mean, technically there's like a ship-wide radio, but you guys seem fairly obsessed with walking around your ship. And I think that there's probably some level of like the Axiom didn't have ship-wide radio. So I feel like the only one who actually thinks to use the comm consistently is probably Bowden, because he's used to being on Atheracorp ships. So every time he sees one of you walk out of the room, he's just like... But yeah, so you head down to Mechanical Bay, and Cyclic's there. Go ahead, Hawk.
Yeah, I was going to say the Actium was also small enough that it wasn't a big chore to get from one place to another, so we're...
You'll probably learn eventually. Okay, so you head down to the Mechanic Bay, and Cyclic turns. Ha! Sprocket, you're here? Welcome,
Yeah.
welcome. I installed the strobe light we talked about. Also, I changed my voice modulator because you didn't like the last one.
Oh, yours is the best.
And like you see like the light on his cone front, like into a grin.
That's epic. I'm so proud of you. Oh, okay. I was here for a reason, but we need to try the strobe light out sometime. Are you good at
pushes the
hacking?
button and it just starts like, and like rave music fills the Mechanic Bay, and like all of you up on the bridge can just like feel like this like thump, 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 thump.
And I'm just gonna yell at him through the sound. Do you know how to hack by chance or anything like that?
Are we talking about life hacks or like into a computer?
Like into a computer database. We want to see if some guy that we just met works on the station or for the guy we're trying to kill.
I see. If you would like me to, is there no one aboard the ship with that capability? I am here to assist, not to steal spotlight.
I mean, I'm good with electronics, but I'm not good at hacking.
It seems like perhaps this is a skill you should invest in.
It seems like it is. Maybe you could teach me.
I'm sure we can discuss that as time advances. However, for now, let us focus on the task at hand. Would you like me to terminate the dance party protocol?
I guess.
That makes me sad. But
Makes
he
me
turns
sad
off.
too.
And all of you up on the bridge, like you've been watching like your coffee mug like slowly work its way across the console, and it stops like precariously at the edge. Very well. What is his name?
His name's Newt. He's green hair, and he is
Newt?
really good with yeah.
Pardon me. And he's gonna make a roll. Okay. The Lemon Limited firewall is quite intense. I would have to be at a mainframe aboard the station. The power aboard the Ambrose is not enough. Which is code for he rolled a 2.
Oh. Can you retry if we get him aboard the station?
Yeah, if you get him to a more powerful computer with a more direct link.
I'm gonna go on a comms and talk to Ghost. I guess everyone who's with her.
I like to picture. We'll say for sake of it, I'll give you a Benny for letting me exert this story control on you. But I like to say that you start to head out the door to walk back to the bridge, and Cyclic is like, "Excuse me, Sprocket. You could press the button on the wall, and it will call the bridge for you."
I knew that.
I'm sure you did.
Press the button then. So, it seems like my droid friend here could help us, but he needs to have access to the mainframe at the station.
I'm game to get out of the ship. As much as I love the old girl, I wouldn't mind seeing some fresh faces.
So,
You know what? I think I'm just gonna go ask the concierge service if they knew where I could find this Newt guy. This is all just a run around. You guys get nothing done. And I storm off the bridge. I'm headed to the station.
Okay. Go ahead, Ghost.
Oh, all right, Ren. Carry on, as you will. Huck, do you think it would really be a good idea to break into the mainframe of the station and possibly get caught doing that before we try to complete the actual mission?
I'm not sure I understand all of what is needed for the droid to get better access. Was it we need to go to the main station data center, or do we just need to go to the public library?
So
If
you
I
hear,
can understand that a little bit better.
Yeah, Cyclic comes over and he's like, "Oh, no, I definitely don't need to be in the mainframe. I need to have attachment to a local municipal sort of computer thing."
Ah, that I think would be worth it. Sprocket, how do you feel about taking your robot for a walk?
I can do that.
I am not a dog.
Well,
Dogs don't dance. And then you suddenly hear that, like, and to those of you on the bridge, it is incredibly loud coming through the radio.
you've got some
Sprocket.
moves.
Sprocket, darling, volume. Turn it down.
I'm just gonna look at Cyclic.
And he gives you a shrug. He's like, "I didn't install a volume setting."
I'm just gonna look at him and pout then, and hit the button to turn it off.
And
We
the
can
light,
work on
the
that
light.
later, buddy. We can work on a volume later, buddy.
Okay.
Do you want to come with me though? You want to see the station?
Sure.
Let's go.
All right, and so you guys head off. Ren, where are you headed? What are the three of you who aren't Ren doing while Sprocket and Cyclic and Ren lay siege to the castle in different ways?
I want to go with Sprocket. I did want to get off the ship for a moment.
So Hawk meets Sprocket and Cyclic at the door.
I'll accompany Ren.
So just Ren's like storming off the ship and Bowden's like leaning against the door, just like drinking out of a like shot glass. Where are you going?
I'm gonna go talk to the concierge service. I'm sure they got one here. I think I saw one the last time I was here. It's a little fuzzy though.
I'll go with you.
Oh. Welcome.
Okay. And Ghost, what are you doing?
If I've left the ship, would Monsieur Lemon's call be put through on like a comm that I could carry with me?
Yeah, you can set that up.
Or would that mean nobody's home?
No, this isn't the Actium, so you have call forwarding.
Can the ship be locked down though?
Bob's still here.
Bob.
As are Jimmy and Joan. And fourth robot, who we realize doesn't have a name yet, because every name that Ren has tried, they keep being like, no, no, no.
Names I written down for the robots were Bob, Ted, Ray, and Sam.
Okay.
I like Ray.
Well, apparently Sam rejects that.
Yeah, Sam is the one that keeps rejecting. Like, nope, nope, nope.
But everybody needs a Sam.
I'm going to take one of your bennies back now.
I gotta do it at least once a game.
I don't know if "got to" is the correct phrasing there. But, all right. So, yeah. So you can go with whichever group of people you want to go with, Ghost. Bob and Ted and not Sam and Ray will hold down the fort.
All right, then. Flora, Bob, I'm going to be leaving the ship. Please lock it up tight and don't let anyone else enter. Call me on my comm if you have problems.
Very well. We have a problem with the names assigned to us by Mr. Wren. We will file an official complaint.
Take it up with HR.
You are HR captain. That's part of your job description.
I will get back to you on it then.
Thank you.
Are those resources really even human, though? Sorry.
You know, Hawk, you might have a point, but as I have been finding out since becoming captain of this ship, quite a few of our new assets are very touchy and get offended very easily. So for the time being, we are just going to let them be whatever they feel they are. I think I shall be joining you and Sprocket and Cyclic.
Sounds good.
Okay. So you guys head off. We will start with those of you headed to cause trouble. So we'll start with the Blues Brothers as you guys make your way to an information desk where there is a nicely dressed droid. It looks a lot like the maid droid from the Jetsons. And they turn to you. Yes, hello.
Yes,
How may I help you today?
We're looking for somebody. We don't know if he's an employee of the station or if he's, employee of some ship here. We saw him, had a few drinks. We just want to see where he is so we can talk to him.
I see. Missing persons reports can be filed with the police constabulary.
Oh, he's not missing. We're just looking to see where we can contact him. See if he's an employee of the station.
You are essentially looking for phone book services. I see. Hold, please. And their head kind of spins, and you notice that they're essentially an octagonal headed robot, and each spin presents a different face. And so it spins 6 times and looks at you, And this is a much more serious, grumpy-looking robot. Information, how can I help?
We're looking for a person that goes by the name of Newt.
Newt. Spell, please.
G-N... Oh, probably one too many drinks. Bowden?
Gnewt.
Very well. Hold, please. Processing. Yes, there is a Mr. Newt who resides aboard this station. He arrived... That can't be accurate. Several hundred years ago. He apparently appeared in a puff of light. We don't understand exactly. He took up residence in the engineering section. Based upon security records, he frequents the Rogaine Hair Clinic on level Y.
All right. Well, you've been a wealth of information. And thank you.
You're welcome. Please remember that Tipping is no longer a city in China.
Okay.
I'll flip a coin at him.
Sure. Yeah, you... Thank you. Is there anything else I can do for you today?
No, we're good.
Wonderful. Have a nice day. All right, and you guys make your way to level Y from level Q. Sprocket, Hawk, Ghost, and Cyclic. You guys enter. Where are you headed?
Well, Cyclic, where do you want to go? Where do we need to get you?
To a computer terminal.
Okay, well, I'm gonna look
Options
around.
include an internet cafe or a library or perhaps one of those gaming stations that can be found on the recreation floors. Those tend to be the least secure.
Which one of those is closest to us?
I don't know. I've never been here.
Well, I'm gonna look around and see if I can find a map.
There is an information desk that you see your two companions walk away from.
I'm gonna go to the desk.
Okay. The nice woman looks to... the nice female-looking robot looks to you. How may I help you today?
Hi, I was looking for either like an internet cafe or the library or just wherever's closest that I can use some internet.
Like a gaming station.
Oh, yes. There are gaming stations on level J. You will find several on that level. Yelp reviews suggest that the one entitled Grid is most efficient and entertaining.
Oh, that's very useful. Thank you.
You are most welcome. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, I'm just gonna be like, well, let's go.
Okay. So you guys begin your ascent to level J. Ren and Bowden. Between the two of you, pick a lead.
Ren.
All right, Ren, roll a d6. Sprocket, Ghost, and Hawk, pick a lead.
Ghost.
Hawk can be in the lead.
Okay.
All right, I'm lead.
All right, Hawk, roll a d6.
Can I Benny it?
No. It's literally just deciding who I go to first.
Okay, 1.
Okay. All right, Ren and Bowden. You are headed down, and you arrive on level Y. Level Y is a cosmetics, apparel kind of level. There's like a Sephora. There's like an Ulta. There's like the Gap, except it's now called like the Expanse, formerly known as the Gap, because the Gap doesn't make a lot of sense in space. All that sort of stuff. But you do see a Rogain's hair clinic for terrestrial beings.
Hey, we didn't really need to see him, did we, Bowden? We just wanted to make sure he was on the station and not on Lemon's.
Which, in fairness, you didn't learn from the robot. You just learned that he frequents the Rogain hair clinic for terrestrial beings.
So why did we come here?
I want to invite him to get a drink.
And we know he's here how?
The robot upstairs told us. Well, she said he comes by here often enough.
And as you're saying that, you feel like something brushed past your leg, like as you're having this conversation, and as you look, like this little like 2.5 foot tall being with like very patchy green hair like walks past you and walks into the hair clinic for for terrestrial beings.
Can I check my pockets to see if my wallet's still there?
Sure. You check your pockets. Your wallet is still there. As is a tissue that you don't know where it came from.
Used or unused?
Definitely used.
Ew.
He left this for you, Ren.
The waste paper basket's right over there.
You walk over and like toss it in, and there's just this like gout of fire as it incinerates. Okay, what do you want to do?
Let's see, which one of us has the least amount of hair?
Really?
It's definitely Hawk, but you know.
What?
How about we go in there and say we're asking?
Actually,
for
it's
a
probably
friend.
Sprocket with the horns. There's just like this bald spot where the horns are.
Okay, I'm gonna walk in. See
Okay,
if I can get.
you go in. There's another of those multi-face droids sitting there. This one has one that has like this like kind of bemused teenage expression like carved onto it, and it doesn't seem to move at all, just the eyes. And it looks at you. Welcome to the Rogain Hair Clinic for terrestrial beings. How may I help you today?
We're looking for a present for a friend of ours.
We have gift cards.
Little gift cards. You don't have any like product we can maybe get him.
I mean, we do, but most of our product is formulated specifically for the individual.
Is Newt anywhere around?
Yeah, you can see Newt's like sitting in a chair, like feet up, and like there's some kind of like purple skinned alien like massaging something into his scalp.
I look over and say, "Hey, do you recommend this place?"
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Nobody talks to me. Who do you think you are?
Well, you're a customer of this joint, and we're looking for a friend, a birthday gift for a friend. We just want to know if there's...
Look, buddy, if your hair's getting thin, your best recommendation is to just accept it, embrace the inevitable, and treat it correctly.
You sound like you're speaking from experience.
Yeah, have you seen my hair? I miss it. It's been gone for like 1,200 years.
So is it like space travel that does it? Or do you just like hang around here?
Mostly radiation. I'm around a lot of it, or at least I used to be. Had an accident a few years ago. Lost some friends.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds like a good tale.
It kind of ended abruptly.
Right. I've experienced that kind. You sound like you might enjoy a drink. Reminisce over old times.
I've been known to drink some, as long as I'm not paying.
Oh no. On me.
All right. Well, tell you what. This is a 45-minute treat. I'll meet you at JJ's.
I know the place.
I thought a guy like you might.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll see you in 45-ish.
All right.
Cool. And we'll jump back to the trio up top.
I'm giving my giveaway Benny to Ren for playing character. I think it's awesome that he has been on this station once before and he knows the local tag.
Awesome. All right. So, Ghost, Sprocket, and Hawk. Where are
Level
you headed?
J, right?
Yep, level J. You're headed to a place called the Grid.
I'm gonna shoot off a text message to Ghost, informing her that we found Newt, and I'm gonna go get to know him over some drinks.
All right, you get that text message. You get this bloop in your earpiece. And it reads in his voice, which is super annoying. Because the voice that he recorded for, like, the bass line, he was totally sloshed. So even when he's not actually drunk, he sounds way more drunk than he is. Because that's what the computer has to go on. So it's like, we met that Newt guy, and we're gonna have some drinks.
And did he send that to Sprocket or to all of us?
Just you.
Just me?
I think so.
Yep, just Ghost.
All right, then. I'll send him a message back saying, proceed with caution, Ren.
And it's going to be right then that I'm going to spot the grid and I'm going to go, Cyclic, look, we found it. And I'm going to start running towards it.
And like,
excitedly.
You guys get close and like he stops for a second and he's like, do you hear that?
What?
It's Daft Punk.
That's so old.
No, because they're immortal because they were really robots.
They were? That's so cool.
Yeah. Let's go. Okay. And like you watch essentially your two children like run into the arcade.
Focus, Sprocket.
I know. Here, over here. I take him to the very back of the arcade where there's not very many people.
Okay.
And there's a little like computer kiosk there.
Mm-hmm.
And I set him up in front of it. And I'm like, "Okay, work your magic."
So, Ghost, who are you texting?
Yes, Hawk. So it turns out that Ren and Bowden have made contact with Newt and are taking him to a bar to chat. I still think we should proceed with this, though, because I'm not sure how much reliable information they're actually going to get.
Yeah, and if they get it, can they remember it tomorrow morning is a relevant question. I wonder, maybe we should have Sprocket get additional background information, and Cyclic, of course, get additional background information on Newt, that they can use to weave into the conversation or dig deeper into, because we're not necessarily looking for him at this point.
Yes, also, for future reference, our little robots would like to be called Pete, Ray, Egon, and Winston?
Good names. I'm sure I'll use it next time I'm talking to him, even though we're not exactly chummy yet.
They I have this feeling that I know them from somewhere, but it's not coming to me. It's gonna bug.
Okay. At that point, you hear in the back, you hear like some dinging and some bells and some klaxons and stuff like that. And you look and you see that Cyclic does have his fingers going on one of the, like, his two like normal arms are going on one of the computers, but you see that like the boom arms have extended out and he has like used his other four appendages and is like also playing video games at the same time with Sprocket.
Am I playing a video game or am I helping
Yeah,
him
it's up
hack?
to you.
I'm totally playing a video game right now. And it's like a multiplayer one, so he's like playing it with me and I'm like, come on, Cyclic, do better. We gotta win.
Cyclic, it turns out that the guys have located Newt. So we're no longer necessarily looking for contact information as much as background information, where he's from, what his interests are, things like that, if you can find.
Sure, I'll try. And so you're watching as he continues to get high scores with Sprocket, but then after a moment we'll make this roll. Okay, so he gets an 8, which is a raise. So he turns and stops abruptly. So it looks like he showed up on the station about 4 days after it went live about 200 years ago. Showed up in some puff of light, was super bald, was like raving against like some kind of like giant spider. Also was like crying. I was like, I lost them again. Like, we actually have audio of that if you want it. It's kind of pathetic though, real sad. Probably don't. He also had this like strange device with a bunch of crystals that was confiscated and is actually still being held in a maximum security detention area. And he just sort of keeps to himself. He does a lot of consult work for the Lemon Limited company.
Okay. Would you write all of that up in a summary with the last point bolded and send that over to...
Yeah. Sorry, I get a different voice when I'm winning.
Oh.
And he just keeps winning.
A bit of machismo in your voice when you're a winner, huh?
Yeah. Or a GM who's super inconsistent. One of the two.
What's a GM?
It's this game here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, yeah, I'll send that over. And so Ren and Bowden, you get little blips on your comms. Bloop. And it has the information that you heard.
Hey, Cyclic, can you look up stuff on Mr. Lemon too? Just in case we need it?
Maybe. We'll get back to that. All right. Bowden and Ren. You guys are sitting at JJ's. So Ren, you're sitting at JJ's. Bowden actually didn't come into JJ's with you initially, you've noticed. You were like talking to him and then like turned around and he just wasn't there. And like the waitress was like, do you want a table or do you want to sit at the bar? And you're like, 2 seats at the bar. And she's like, I mean, are you waiting for someone? And
hey,
Bowden's missing.
Where'd he go? Kind of stick my head out the door, looking.
All Are you being inobtrusive, Bowden, or what are you doing?
I'm basically just being inobtrusive. I'm waiting a little ways from the hair place. I'm just going to tell him when he walks out.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to be associated with Ren. And as he goes into the restaurant, I'll go in too, but find like a corner seat. I just want to keep an eye on him and see, what anybody else is doing in the restaurant. See if he's got anybody coming in with him.
Okay. So give me a stealth roll.
Five.
Okay. As far as you know, you're being inobtrusive. You hang back a little. Ren goes in, gets a table. You hang out for a little bit, see that Newt is indeed still in his hair appointment. And essentially you sit on a bench and wait for, the period of time. And about 45 minutes later, sure enough, Newt comes out of the hair place, looks around. He's wearing what is essentially like a bowler hat at this point. And he turns and looks around and then sees where JJ's is and goes, "That's where I was going." Yeah. And he walks over and he walks up to the racers. He's like, "Patty, how you doing?" "Yeah, good. That guy over there. Yeah, the drunk one. I'm with him. Also," and he leans in. He's like, "Yeah, my tab, he's agreed to pay it." "No, he has." "Yeah." "No, really." And then you get this alert, Ren, on your phone because you've already bought a drink, so you've had to essentially turn over your cred stick, and you get this alert, and 5,000 credits have been charged to your account.
What the? Miss.
he comes walking up and sits down next to you and hops up onto the mid rung. He's like, "Hey buddy, can you help me? It's real hard to get up there." The
Sure.
bar was kind of a dick move. You know how short I am.
Hey, she asked where I wanted. She just said at the bar, and I'm like, sure. I didn't think. Okay, I'm sorry.
Right. Help me up.
Okay.
Okay. So you help up Bowden. You get escorted back to a corner booth where you can watch the action. He's like, "Yeah, give me a Vespa." "All right. So, what do you want? I saw you on that ship."
Yeah, I saw you on the ship too, and
I would hope so.
Me. Well,
I mean, you have that bearing of the security guy. So if you hadn't seen me, just saying.
I would be slacking in my duties.
And he goes to scratch his beard, and you just watch as some of the green goatee just dusts. And he looks at his hand, and he's like, "Ugh." And wipes it. It's like Cheeto dust in green.
I feel your pain.
Yeah?
It's like
you have sclerosis of the liver too?
No.
Huh. I drink a lot these days.
I may have that. I don't know.
I refuse to let the doctor tell me.
Exactly.
Right. And the drink gets delivered. He's like, "You like wings?"
Oh, I love wings.
All right. "Hey, bucket of wings." "No, I said bucket. I know what I'm about." And after a while, a bucket of wings. "So, what do you need?"
Just wanted to get to know you. See if I can get some information on the gentleman you work for.
You want information on Lemon?
Yeah.
You gotta have a lot more money than it looks like you do if you're gonna get me to betray that bigwig.
I don't want you to betray him. I just want to get to know him. I mean, can he be trusted?
You know, all of this sounds like, I don't want you to betray him, but I really want you to betray him, right? You get that?
If you say so.
This has got to be why your captain's pretty. It makes so much more sense now.
Yeah, she's usually the one that does the talking.
Yeah.
She has a lot more success.
Yeah, I can see that. I used to run with someone like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got him killed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, it was. And he like drains the drink and he like taps it and they like refill it really quickly. Yeah, it's rough. So, what do you want to know? I'll make a decision if I answer or not, but what do you want?
Well, have you worked with him for a while?
Yeah. I mean, him, his dad, his grandpa.
Oh, well then.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure that when we deliver the goods that we're going to get a fair deal out of it.
I mean, all I know is that they set up the account to transfer the 4 million to the rest of you.
Oh, wait. 4 million?
Yeah.
That dirty rot. Oh, Ghost. You have already been mighty helpful. You want another drink?
Of course I want another drink. Also, try the garlic parmesan sauce on the wings. It's delicious.
If you want to know something delicious, and I pull up my flask with the nectar, you got to try this. Just a little bit in your drink.
You have Terraria nectar?
I do.
How? It's illegal. Great. Yes, I like you. Not enough to betray Lemon, but I like you.
I think we could get along.
Yeah, we totally can. Great. All right. So you guys talk for a little bit. We'll jump back to the other three. You guys are hanging out in and Sprocket like leans over. Cyclic, can you like check out Mr. Lemon? He's like, yeah, sure, I guess. Starts going. I rolled his electronics roll before we jumped aside. He's not a wild card, so he only rolls 1 dice. And he rolled a 1. So, he begins, and you see him, and he's just like starts typing faster, and he starts to miss shots on the basketball thing, and he starts to miss like steps on Dance Dance Revolution, where his 5 like appendage fingers are like doing everything, and he starts to like miss targets on the Time Crisis version 7321 game, and like all of these other things, and all of a sudden he just like freezes up, and you see his head like go back, and his little lights on his eyes go to skulls, and his mouth goes into a straight line, and he just
Sprocket dear, is he supposed to do that?
I broke my robot.
But
I've got to get him back to the ship, and I just start to grab him and like pull him
yeah.
with me.
The thing is like it's like rigor mortis, so his appendages are totally locked out, and so he's just like extended into like an 8-foot wingspan right now.
So I'm carefully trying to drag him out, and I start to knock things over as I'm going.
Yeah, you're banging into things. You're like, get somebody, hey, knock it off.
I try to help
Okay.
pick up the other end.
So you all like eventually like the two of you have him turned, and you're like working him like he's a mattress through the arcade, and you get him out into the main space. And you take him back to the ship. All right. It's a difficult journey because he doesn't fit in the elevator.
Is there anything? Let's see. I'm gonna try to like pull off the back panel on him and try to like hit the wires to like recircuit it and make him come back.
Okay. Move your mic again. Now you're breathing into it. We'll find a good place for it. Maybe.
I'm sorry.
Someday.
Maybe.
But okay, so you give me a repair roll. You're at a -2.
But my Mr. Fix-It works, so it makes it
Yep.
so that there's not a minus at all. Okay.
Yep.
I got a 6 on my D8 die.
Adjust your mic again. No, you want to pull it away from your mouth
Okay.
because you're
Is that
just
better?
you're breathing into it. Yeah. Every time you breathe, it's
Sorry.
like in a wind tunnel. It's all good. Okay. We're learning. So what'd you get? Sorry.
I got a 6, but it was on my D8 die, so I can't.
Okay. Yeah. So you just when your dice explodes, you'll just say, okay, it exploded, and then you just roll it again, and then just give me the total after
Okay.
penalties. Yeah, so 6, you manage to get his arms, like, you can't, like, get everything, like, in, but you can get it enough that you can, like, load him into the elevator, but essentially you have to load him into the elevator, and then you have to, like, you can fit in there with him, Sprocket, but you're gonna have to send Ghost and Hawk, like, up the stairs to, like, meet you, because you can't fit all of you into the elevator. You're not able to get his limbs closed down to that point.
That's completely fine, dear. We'll take the stairs.
Okay, I'll see you up there.
Okay. So you guys head up the stairs. And as you near the top of the stairs, you hear some shouting. Sprocket, as you arrive at the top of the stairs, at the top of the elevator, your elevator opens up, and you are greeted by 3 police droids.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Come on out.
Okay.
And so you come out, and they bring Cyclic out. You're under arrest, young lady.
For what?
Utilizing the grid systems to hack into various other systems. Sound familiar?
I was just playing video games.
Uh-huh.
But my droid here had a malfunction. I was just taking him back to my ship to fix him.
Right. Your droid's the one who did the hacking. We show that you have a 1% ownership on this droid. We're looking for a Miss Ghost. Can you tell us where to find her?
I don't know exactly where she is at the moment.
I see. Well, when she comes to collect you and the droid, we can have a conversation with her as well.
Have Hawk and I got to the top of the stairs?
Yeah, you like come out to the top of the stairs, and you essentially see them like putting like manacles on Sprocket behind their back, and the other 2 are like lifting up Cyclic.
Well, Hawk, do we charge in or we'll leave him behind?
Well, I'm guessing they found out about all of the hacking. I say just loud enough for them to hear.
You know, Hawk, sometimes you have a really big mouth. Officers, hello. What are you doing?
It's her! And you see the 3 of them point to you. And
Yes.
you're Captain Ghost.
Yes.
You have a 99% ownership stake in this robot, correct?
Yes, this malfunction.
Very well. You're under arrest.
What seems to be the problem here, please?
This robot has hacked into multiple mainframe systems using a grid computer. You are responsible for the conduct of your robot. You are under arrest.
But from what I understand, it was malfunctioning. It wasn't trying to hack into the systems.
However, you are still responsible for the conduct of your robot. It says so on your ownership certificate.
Well, yes, of course. That's why we were trying to get it back to the ship to get it repaired before it could damage anything. Did it cause any damage?
That's not for us to decide. That's for the judge to decide.
I really feel like this would be wasting the judge's time. It doesn't appear to have caused any damage. And as far as I know, it didn't get any information. We weren't trying to get any information. My young companion here was just trying to play games with it, and it malfunctioned. And the robot is, if you look up on the ownership papers, only 6 months old. I'm sure, as you know, sometimes defects get passed in the building process. Quality control, it's not always what it should be. So if you would like to get a hold of the company that made it and let them know that their machines, when they malfunction, are hacking into systems, but we surely had no control over that.
You can roll persuasion roll. You're at a -1 due to their negative disposition, and an additional -1 because, you know, they're robots.
You know it's great when she has to add it up.
Push the button, Sarah.
21 before the minuses, which now I can't.
So 19. So they're like listening, and you're like watching, like their eyes are like red, and they go to like purple, and then they go to blue. Yeah, all right. We'll let you off this time. But you gotta send it back. Get that warranty. And they undo Sprocket's manacles.
Absolutely correct. Thank you, sir.
See that it doesn't happen again. We'll be watching you.
Can I still play video games?
Not at the grid. You've been banned for life.
Okay.
And they roll off. And you guys make your way back to the ship. Ren and Bowden, you guys are in the bar because you're all awful and split the party on me. You realize that any other time we play games, this is what gets you killed, right? But you're sitting at the bar.
It's been a pleasure. I take it we've been talking to him for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Swapping stories.
Yep.
And I look at, look at the time. Newt, it has been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah. I'm sure it has for you.
When I saw the small talk starting up, I'm going to go ahead and just get up before he ends it. I'm going to leave before he does.
Okay. Give me just a minute. Give me a stealth roll.
5 again.
Okay. So, like, as you walk out, he turns and, like, doesn't look directly at you, but, like, looks in your direction and goes, "You got a good wingman there, Ren."
Yeah, he thinks he's sneaky.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty sneaky. I've been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But, as with everything, I ain't telling nobody. Doesn't really do me any good.
Mm-hmm. Well, perhaps we can catch up another time.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure we will. All right. Well, good luck.
You too. I stop by the bar and say, by the way, he was picking up all the tabs.
No. It's already been handled by you.
I didn't authorize that first charge. I'll take everything today, but not the previous charge.
You'll have to take that up with your bank, buddy.
I have a 200 credit limit every day, and they shouldn't have authorized that in the first.
You gotta take it up with your bank, buddy.
Take it out of Ghost 1 million little forgetfulness.
Okay, so you guys head back up to the ship, arrive on the ship, and as you get there, Ghost and Sprocket and Hawk with your malfunctioning droid under your arm happens to be about a similar time as Ren and Bowden roll in, and leaned up against the wall of your ship is Deluvia, the bluish purple skinned thin man that works for Mr. Lemon. Captain Ghost, it's good to see you've returned. I was not aware you were going to journey about the station. I would have called you, but it seemed easier to wait. I couldn't imagine you would not come back in order to get paid.
Of course not. We merely needed to stretch our legs a little bit.
I see. Very well. There is a moon in the neighboring system. Fourth moon, third planet. That's where the drop-off will occur. Tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. local time.
And Mr. Lemon will be there in person to pay us?
Of course not. Why would he attend such a thing?
And how are we to know if he is not there? I trust him. I'm not sure I trust all of his underlings.
Ms. Ghost, you've already received half of your payment for a fraction of the stardust you insisted that you would be bringing back, and as you were instructed. He has illustrated a great deal of good faith when it comes to you. Perhaps it would be wise to do the same for him.
Perhaps. That remains to be seen, though.
5 a.m. tomorrow. Good day. And he walks off. Sprocket, you can give me a notice roll. Just Sprocket.
I got a 5.
Okay, as he walks away, you see 2 shimmering heat signatures following him.
There was people with him. I just kind of said that to myself and whoever's nearby.
Yeah, so those of you around, the 4 of you can hear what she had to say.
How many people?
How about we get on the ship first, and then we discuss what we have all learned?
Okay. So you all go on board the ship?
He just had 2 invisible, bodyguards with him.
And you could see them?
Yeah.
This could be very useful indeed. You are indeed a very useful person, Sprocket.
Thanks.
So, Ren, how did your information gathering expedition go?
I'll tell you this. Newt is a fine, outstanding person.
I'm gonna take my robot to the place and start working on it.
He also informed me, and I take the captain aside a little. The payment for the Stardust was $4 million.
Did he?
Yeah, I found that mighty interesting.
I wonder where he got that information from.
Apparently, he works quite closely with Mr. Lemon.
But did you find out whether he regularly flies with him and stays with him?
Hey, he's kind of a wild card. He stays here at the station sometimes, probably on the ship. Made it sound like he stays a lot of time here in the station, because this is where he gets his hair treatment.
Sounds like you had a lovely time.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Ghost, it seems to me that we may need to take care of our current mission before leaving for the neighboring system before the crack of dawn tomorrow.
One thing to keep in
Am I-
mind is you don't have a time limit on the kill quest. You do sort of have a time limit to get
Okay.
paid on your Stardust delivery.
So, I suggest we deliver our Stardust, and if we see an opportunity, we take it, and if we don't, we wait.
Do we have comms on so that I can be listening or no?
Okay.
I mean,
Sure,
okay.
as far as I know, everybody on board the ship is with us on this, although we haven't tried out Flora yet. But
Yeah,
I
I
could
was
still
trying to
rig.
be secretive in what
I could still rig the cargo with explosives, because that will eventually get to the lemon guy.
You have no guarantee of that.
if you made it a rather small explosion so that it only took out whoever opened the box, then they wouldn't be able to confirm that we hadn't actually got the real Stardust. Although it would look awfully suspicious, unless you could make it look like something else caused it to explode.
I might be able to rewire the containment unit to stay unstable as it is opened right before the explosion would go off. But that would take more time because I'd have to create basically a pause in the coding so that the explosion doesn't go when it's opened.
Something else to consider, and I'm just the new guy, is that you're going to make this delivery. He's going to die. Who's going to be the prime suspects? Maybe, with whatever you do, maybe think about trying to point a finger at somebody else. Have you thought about seeing if you could add some money to somebody's bank account that personally knows him? Something suspicious, put something somewhere that throws suspicion on somebody else.
Interesting. I like the way you think, Doctor.
I just got on this ship. I don't want to have to go to a new one. I'd like to spend a little time before I move on.
Okay. At this point, Hawk, you've calculated like how long it's going to take you to get to the next planet, calculated local time. You're about 10 hours out from your meetup, and at least 3 of those are going to be in flight. At some point, y'all are going to need to actually sleep as a thing. But, yeah, you're about 10 hours out from when you need to meet with Lemon's representatives.
And since I'm flying, I'll definitely need some of that time for sleep. So if we're decided upon a plan, well, and unfortunately we're not entirely. Bowden, I like your idea about maybe hedging our bets to place the blame on someone else. I don't know necessarily how we're going to execute that. Do we? Yeah, I don't think we have anybody with the requisite skill set to actually hack into a bank account and place fictitious funds or anything like that.
I could make that weird rose thing that we saw earlier from that criminal place flash on right after the unstable thing if we do an explosion. Maybe.
So we could implicate a very large crime syndicate. That could also be lots of fun.
Right. So, for the players, goals generally for this stream to run about 3 hours. We're a little bit over that. So, we are going to call it this evening on you guys formulating your plan on where to head and what to do in terms of your next step. So, we're going to go through and do, thank you, shout outs, anything you want to do. Remind everybody who you are. If you have anything of your own you want to plug, we can go ahead and do that. So, Jeff, go ahead and start us off.
No, I had fun. Don't need to shout out anything because I don't get on social media very often.
Okay.
But I had fun tonight. Thanks for everyone showing up. It was a blast.
Sarah.
This was so much fun. Thanks, guys.
Matthew Ta.
Definitely like the space opera genre. Got to fly a cool new ship. Love that. And look forward to the next session of this adventure.
Bowden. Escomat, I guess.
Definitely a lot of fun. I'm going to say this is the first time I've ever done something like this, so it's kind of cool. Thanks.
And Micah.
Yeah, I had lots of fun too, and I'm excited about our future adventures. And I'm definitely gonna try to get Cyclic back so we can have more raves in the basement of the ship. But yeah, thanks for watching.
Alrighty. And on behalf of the Stars That Bind crew, I'm Eric Taylor. I have been your storyteller for this evening. Thanks so much to my 5 players. I'm very grateful they have been, in some form or fashion, for the most part of my regular gaming crew for years now. And I finally talked them into coming on stream when I was like, hey, by the way, I'm going to do this now. We're going to have a conversation about when Stars That Bind is going to be back. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But you'll see Sarah and you'll see Matthew Ta on our Table Talk discussion podcast next week. Take a look at our Twitter or our Facebook for timing on that. Chantel Benjamin will also be there with us from the Division New Year's Eve stream. And next week sometime, we're still working out schedules. That's what happens when you're a new network. But we're working out schedules. There will also be One Shot Wonderland, where we'll jump in and we'll play a one-shot and have some fun. And that'll be something that's crazy and off the cuff and a lot more kind of ridiculous as a thing. Because when it's a one-shot, you have a chance to kind of take more risks because you're less afraid you're going to die when things go wrong. And this group especially is kind of timid in some of the things they do because they're known for getting themselves killed. There's also a couple more things going on next week that we'll keep you appraised of. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, keep your eyes on things, spread the word, because if you want to invest in stories, you're in the right place. For everyone here at Do Respite Media, thanks so much for watching. My name has been Eric Taylor, and we'll see you next time.